Welcome to Fireside Nets with Spen and Nick, brought to you by Empire Sports Media. This is one of the number one Brooklyn Nets podcasts in the country. It is just me today. No Nick. Nick can't record tonight. He wanted to record tomorrow. I said absolutely not. The Nets have played 3 regular season games. We have not put out an episode yet. I was absolutely too disgusted to put out an episode after their home opening loss against the Pelicans. We'll talk about that game in a little bit. We'll talk about the win on the road against the Raptors. I'm sorry, the win at home against the Raptors. But first off, we're going to talk about this loss to the Memphis Grizzlies. I have the final score up right here, and the final score was 134 to 124. So 134 to 124, the Grizzlies won. Let's get into this game. The Nets' offense wasn't necessarily the problem. I mean, when you have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on your team, you're more than likely going to be able to put up 100-plus points per game. Kyrie was phenomenal tonight. He had 37 points. He was 14 to 24 from the field. 8 rebounds for Kyrie, only 5 assists. You would like to see that number higher because the ball is in his hands a lot. 2 of 6 from three-point land, 7 of 8 from the free throw line. Kevin Durant, 37, mirrored Kyrie Irving's game. 14 to 20 from the field for KD, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Here's what you absolutely hated. Outside of Nick Claxton, who had 16 points, and Joe Harris had 8 in his return, nobody really showed up today. Royce O'Neal was 3 of 12 from the field, an off-shooting night for him. Ben Simmons, we're going to have to talk about him. He has not looked good in 2 out of 3 games to start this season. Here's my thing with Ben Simmons, and this was frustrating me the whole game. If he's going to get the ball and they're going to play that off him when he's at the three-point line and the defender sags back about a good 4 to 5 feet, he needs to attack the paint. He needs to do what Bruce Brown, who's on the Denver Nuggets, if you guys want to take a little gander at Bruce Brown's start to the season, he's killing it with Nikola Jokic. Ben Simmons needs to take a page from Bruce Brown's playbook and attack the middle of the court. Too many times is he getting the ball at the three-point line, he's running to KD or Kyrie, and he's handing the ball off, and he's setting a handoff pick in the middle of nowhere. The defender is obviously going under. You're not going to go over that play. You're going to go under, and they're doubling Kevin Durant. They're doubling Kyrie Irving. Thank God those guys can score, but Ben Simmons has to be more aggressive. Okay, this team will only go as far as he takes them. He has to be more aggressive. And he can't foul out of ball games like a competitive one like we had in Memphis. He can't do that. You're too valuable to the team. You can be aggressive, you can take risks, but be smart. He has not been smart in 2 out of these 3 first games for the Brooklyn Nets, the New York Nets. Call them. Right now, the Knicks are 2-1. Knicks won again tonight. They have what appears to be a pretty decent squad over there in New York. I think we're better. But right now they're 2-1, and we're 1-2. This was a rough loss. You went on that run in the second quarter. You had a great second quarter. You outscored Memphis 35 to 25. That's when you had things going. That's when you had that great ball movement play, the fast break. It was Kyrie to KD, back to Kyrie on the bounce, kick out to Joe Harris to the baseline 3. That was beautiful. And in the second half, you don't see that. You just don't see that. Kyrie can sense that the team was not clicking on offense. He felt the need to take over a lot of possessions in this game. And let's be real, most times that Kyrie Irving takes over possession, he usually hits a miraculous shot. Sometimes he'll miss. Sometimes he'll be cold. But can you blame him? I mean, Claxton, nice game, 7 of 10 from the field, 16 points. He was in foul trouble. Him and Sharp were just switching on and off. Claxton would get a few fouls, come out. Sharp would get a few fouls, come out. The Nets have to figure it out on defense. We can get into it. I'm looking at the rest of the Nets' individual performances. Nothing catches my eye. Patty Mills, 6 points in 19 minutes. I mean, he had a few ugly misses on the baseline. Joe Harris, like I said, 8 points in his return. He was 3 of 9 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3. 4 personal fouls for Joe. He looked a step slow on defense. He was a plus 12, Joe Harris. So I'll give him credit. He was the only plus on the Nets roster. Yutu Watanabe was a plus minus 0. Everybody else was a negative. Here's what's sad. The Nets shot 54% from the field. It's not bad. 80.8% from the free throw line. Claxton was 2 of 2 from the line today. Irvin was 7 of 8. Durant was 8 of 9 from the free throw strike. Ben Simmons was 3 of 5, and Day'Ron Sharpe was 1 of 2. So we hit our free throws. 9 of 29 from three-point land, 31%. That's pretty bad. Okay, now let's get into the defense, shall we? We let up 134 points to a Memphis Grizzlies team. We allowed their starting backcourt to combine. So Ja Morant had 38 points, 14 of 21 from the field. Guys, he only missed 7 shots out of the 21 he took. He was 8 of 11 from three-point range. Let me repeat, Ja Morant hit 8 of 11 threes, and he was 2 of 3 from the line. And hey, his running mate, and he had 7 assists. His running mate, I'm sorry, those numbers I just read you were Desmond Bane's numbers, not Ja Morant's. This is a terrible podcast. Ja Morant was 12 of 22 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3, 10 of 11 from the free throw line. Desmond Bane was 14 of 21 from the field, 8 of 11 from 3, 2 of 3 from the free throw line. 7 assists for each of those guys. So what's 38 plus 38, my math guys? So if 40 plus 40 is 80, 38 plus 38 is going to be 76. So they had 2 players combined for 76 points. But you know what? They also had Aldama chip in with 17 points, 2 of 4 from 3, 6 of 8 from the field. They also had Brandon Clark come in and give them excellent minutes. He had 13 points. Okay, Tyus Jones came in, hit a few floaters in that second quarter. Conchar had 7 points. Steven Adams had 9 and 13. They have a very well-rounded team. The only guy who did not shoot the ball well for the Grizzlies was Dylan Brooks, 2 of 13 from the field. But what are we doing? Letting this backcourt go for 76 points. The only backcourt that should be scoring that amount of points per game, not per game, but when the Warriors go off, you're not surprised when Clay and Steph each go for 35 apiece, 38. Yeah, of course, Kyrie and KD did it tonight. They're Kyrie and KD. They score 30 plus in their sleep. But Desmond Bane and Ja Morant? Not saying Ja Morant's not great. He's an MVP candidate. Not saying Desmond Bane isn't a really good player. He's a scorer. He's a three-point specialist. But guys, 14 of 21 and 12 of 22 is unacceptable. 6 of 8 for Aldama from the field. These guys did not miss. They ended up shooting 50% as a team, 47% from three-point land. You just can't have that. And then, the rebounding game, they rebounded us by 3, 38 to 35. Brandon Batts says the refs were trash. They dictated the game. Sure. Refs missed a few calls. I mean, we don't really get the benefit of the doubt a lot of times, especially on the road, especially when you have KD and Kyrie who are masters at initiating contact. And I say that as a compliment. Kyrie Irving gets into the lane. He's one of the best players at taking contact and finishing at the rim. But refs aside, I mean, we let up 45 points in the third quarter. 45 points. We let up 39 points in the first quarter and 45 in the third quarter. You're not going to win basketball games when you let up 84 points between 2 quarters. That's insane. That is absolutely atrocious. So, yeah, we can point to 2 things that dictated tonight's loss, if you ask me. We can point to Ben Simmons not being aggressive, this game really being on KD and Kyrie's shoulders. Clax had to make plays. Joe Harris had to make plays. Royce O'Neal had to make plays. Patty Mills hit 2 threes. But Ben Simmons cannot go 2 of 5 from the field and score 7 points. He just can't do it. Ben Simmons was a minus 16. That's the worst on the team. Think about that. When Ben Simmons was out on the court tonight, the Nets were 16 points worse, and they lost this game by 10. I want everyone to think about that statistic. I might sound agitated right now, but everything that I'm frustrated about, it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. Ben Simmons fouled out of this game. He was abysmal for a majority of this game. So that's number one. He has to be more aggressive if we want a chance to be good. Number two is we need to figure out what our identity is on defense. If we're not going to crush the glass and win in the rebounding department, we have to D up guys, and we have to figure out how to play the pick and roll. You have no excuse because Claxton and Sharp are mobile centers. They're able to move their feet. When you had Andre Drummond, when you had Blake Griffin, okay, yeah, those guys can't hang with John Morant, Steph Curry. They can't do that. But Claxton, Sharp, these guys are supposed to be able to move a little bit. I was very disappointed in the fact that we didn't control the game, not only on the boards, but we were not able to keep them out of the paint, and we did a terrible job of defending the three-point line. Ben Simmons' aggressiveness and defense, that's how we're going to win games. I don't know if we're ever going to be a good rebounding team. We don't have any guys that specialize in that department. We don't. So I'll take the loss on the chin. 1-2, 0-1 on the road. We're going to go all the way back to that first game against the Pelicans. We lost that game 130 to 108. Again, letting up plus 130 in the NBA it's a tough look. They had three guys who scored 20 plus. Ingram had 28 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Williamson, Zion had 25 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals. Nets could not stop him in the paint. And CJ McCollum, really, really nice pickup for New Orleans last year. 21 points for CJ, 7 of 16 from the field, 4 of 5 from the the free throw line. Jonas Valanciunas had a double-double, 15 and 13 for him. And Troy Murphy, the third off the bench, had 16 points. Pelicans dominated this game pretty much start to finish. We gave him a little bit of, Trey Murphy, the third, not Troy Murphy. Troy Murphy, actually, old NBA player. Fun story. Guy in my apartment is friends with Troy Murphy. Always brings him up when I see him outside. Really nice guy. Shout out to Vin. Nets put up 108 in this one. The second quarter was their best quarter. They scored 36, but 14 points in the first quarter to New Orleans 32, 28 in the third to New Orleans 40, and 30 in the fourth to New Orleans 32. Kevin Durant, that was the number. He had 32 points in this one. Kyrie Irving had an off game, 15 points. Ben Simmons, 4 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. He fouled out in this one. Not much to say about this game. Pelicans are a team that played together last year minus Zion. You add Zion to a team that already has Ingram, Valanciunas, Herb Jones, CJ McCollum. That team's going to be filthy. I think the Pelicans are a playoff team this year. And it just seemed like the Nets weren't ready. I mean, Claxton had a double-double, 13 and 10. Good for him. Royce O'Neal had a nice little game, 4-7 from the field for 10 points. And Patty Mills off the bench actually played very well in game 1, 5 of 10 from the field, 4 of 9 from three-point range, 16 points for Patty Mills. But we were never in this game. We shot 44.9% from the field, 30% from 3. They shot 46% from 3, 49% from the field. And they out-rebounded us 61 to 39. So you're not going to win a lot of games when a team out-rebounds you by, 20? Yeah, it's about 22. It's embarrassing. They got 22 more rebounds than the Brooklyn Nets. Okay? Whatever. Opening night, you had the jitters. You came back. I don't remember when this game was, this Raptors game. You came back against the Raptors a few nights later. I think it was Friday night. At home, you beat the Raptors in a close game, 109-105. The star in this one, Kyrie Irving, hit some ridiculous shots down the stretch. Royce O'Neal hit a huge three-pointer to put the Nets up 4. Kyrie had 30 in this one. He was a plus 22. 7 assists for Irving on 11 of 24 from the field. Kevin Durant had 27 points in this one, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. He was 8 of 18 from the field. Patty Mills off the bench. Patty Mills is starting to be one of our best best bench guys again. 10 points in this one, 2 of 5 from the field, 2 of 4 from three-point range, a few really big momentum three-pointers. It seems when Patty is hitting threes, it seems like that's when our team is clicking. Ben Simmons in this one, he had 6 points, 8 assists, 10 rebounds. So you're okay with the stat line because he only had 2 fouls. So you take that. Siakam absolutely torched us. He had 37, 11, and 12 for Pascal Siakam. The next highest scorer for the Raptors was Fred VanVleet with 18 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. Nets did what they needed to do in this one. Handled business in the fourth, even though Toronto made a run. This was a defensive battle, if you ask me. There was only one quarter that a team scored above 30 points, and the Nets scored 31 in the fourth. Otherwise, it was fairly even throughout this contest. Good the Nets won this game. They could easily be 0-3 right now. Easily. It's sad to say, but they have played not winning basketball up to this point. If it wasn't for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and Royce O'Neal in that second game, this team would be 0-3. Because this was easily a game you could have lost. You did nothing to slow down Pascal Siakam. Fred VanVleet was able to score whenever he wanted. He was 7-11 from the field. He missed 4 shots on 11 shots. Scotty Barnes was okay, 7-14, 17 points for Scotty. But you got to figure it out on defense, Steve Nash. You do not need to do much for this offense. I think you need to figure out a way to get Ben Simmons more involved, and Ben Simmons has to be more aggressive on his own. But what you've done in 3 games against the Pelicans, you let them all go off. Okay, it's not like you picked your poison. You said, we're going to slow down Ingram and CJ and Zion can get theirs, but we're going to – no, they all played really well, and you lost. In this game, Pascal Siakam is not a 37, 12 rebound, 11 assist player. He's not. I'll give him the scoring, but he's not getting 11 assists a game. You made the guy look like Magic Johnson. You won that game. Okay, fine. By the skin of your freaking boots, you won that game. I don't know if that's a saying. Maybe it is. It's a little late. It's Monday night. Fine. You couldn't do what you did tonight against Memphis. You did. And now you're 1-2. And now it's that uphill battle, right? We have a tough game against Milwaukee coming up on Wednesday. How many of you guys think that that's going to be an easy W for us? Nobody. You can't. You got Milwaukee coming up. You're at Milwaukee, okay? After that game, you're home against Dallas, and you play Indiana twice. And by the way, that Raptors game was on Friday, October 21st. It's Monday, October 24th. I'm reacting to these first 3 Nets games of the year. No Nick on the pod today, just Spen. The other thing I'll say is I'm looking at the stats for this Grizzlies loss. Do you guys know the leading rebounder who was tied with – nope, I'm sorry. Kyrie Irving was our leading rebounder with 8 rebounds. How tall is Kyrie Irving, guys? He's not 6'11 like Ben Simmons. And he isn't 6'11 like Nick Claxton, who had 7 rebounds. Kyrie Irving is 6'2, and he was your leading rebounder. How is that fucking possible? How? Explain that one to me, Steve. Ugh. Is it all Nash's fault? No. But when I see a team in 3 games that has 0 defensive identity, okay? You can't point to a moment in the game where it was hard for Ja Morant or Desmond Bane to score. The only times that they did not score was when Nick Claxton blocked them or they got stripped. Otherwise, they scored every single time. What kind of defense is that? What kind of defense is it when Steven Adams gets every single rebound, kicks it out, and the guy hits a wide open 3? What kind of defense is that? It's unacceptable. And now you got to go against a Milwaukee team who's inching to play you because you beat them in the preseason, and that game meant nothing. But Giannis played in that game. This is a tough first few games. It's going to be a longer season, obviously. We're not going to be this bad every night. The refs aren't going to be this bad every night. But something has to give in regards to their execution on defense, their execution on the boards, and how they're going to use Ben Simmons. Okay, he played 28 points tonight. 28 minutes. He had 7 points in 28 minutes, 8 assists, 6 personal fouls, 5 turnovers for Ben Simmons. And guess what? Didn't do a lot on defense. Really just did not make life difficult for the guys he was guarding today, whether it was Ja Morant, whether it was somebody else on this team. Memphis got whatever they wanted. I don't want to hear anything about Ben Simmons being a defensive player of the year anytime soon because he's fouled out in 2 out of our first 3 games. And he's done nothing to show me that he is going to be the difference maker this year. Is he capable of it? Absolutely. Does he have the potential to be great? Of course he does. I believe in Ben Simmons. But I said this earlier in the podcast. All I want from Ben Simmons is to do what Bruce Brown did last year. Okay? Be that Swiss Army knife. Find open guys, which you've been doing. Be aggressive when necessary, which you haven't, and score the basketball. If Kevin Durant, if Kyrie Irving aren't in their rhythm, be aggressive. Get to the rim. Score. Because until Ben Simmons does that, this team is going to be extremely limited. So, and again, I'm not even asking you to hit 3-pointers. That's what Bruce Brown did last year. By the way, Bruce Brown was not the most confident shooter to start during his tenure with the Brooklyn Nets. He had to get there. So I'm going to give Ben Simmons a little bit of time. He gets a good amount of time. He's coming off some serious injuries. He hasn't played basketball in a year and a half. But just be aggressive. That's all I'm asking. You're 6'11". If Ja Morant or Desmond Bain are close to you, post them up. Do something. Dunk on Steven Adams' goofy ass. Do it. All right. Rant over. Been going on for about 20-plus minutes by myself, but I needed to have this vent session. Okay? And if I'm agitated, imagine what Kevin Durant's thinking right now. Imagine what Kyrie Irving's thinking. Okay, those guys, they're not super happy with the Nets organization to begin with. They want to win basketball games. Every single loss is that much more significant because of those 2 players right there. Shout out to Nick Claxton. He continues to do his thing. It was hard for him to stay out of foul trouble tonight, though. Shout out to the Brooklyn Nets. We're going to get it on Wednesday. Hopefully, we see a much better effort against Milwaukee on defense. That does it for this week's episode of Fireside Nets with Spen and Nick. Thank you guys so much for listening. We are brought to you by Empire Sports Media. Go Nets. And as always, I'll catch you on the fireside.